It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Like everybody, stock is pretty limited in Stirling. There's a lot of conversations that are had around, they like the idea of the price that they can achieve, but that chicken and egg scenario of where they're going to go because of the limited buying opportunity. So it's mainly being driven by downsizers or investors that are selling at the moment because of the need or the want to capitalise.
And that is Damien Lloyd in Perth on the Real Estate Breakfast as we connect you to the largest real estate knowledge bank across Australia and streaming 7 days a week right now on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Remember too to tell a friend who might be into real estate just like you. If you don't want to miss an episode, press the follow link to stay updated on the continuing changing Aussie real estate market. It is a Tuesday, November the 4th. Now, if you missed our conversation with Eliza Owen yesterday from Cotality, Australia's property market is surging once again. If you didn't already know, it's out in the open with record spring auctions and renewed demand from first home buyers and investors driving prices higher. New data from Cotality shows that home values jumped 1.1% in October and 6.1% over the year. That is the fastest growth in more than 2 years, which is signalling a fresh market upswing. And Perth led the gains, followed by Brisbane, while regional areas rose 1% for the month. And talking of Perth, let's take you there right now and catch up with Damien Lloyd from Ray White. And a very good morning. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast, Damien. You're in a suburb called Stirling, and I was telling you off air, I don't think we've ever talked about the Stirling property market there in Perth. So golden opportunity here for you to tell everybody about it.
Absolutely. So Stirling is a suburb that's about 12 kilometres from the CBD here. It's popular because of its easy access to arterial roads like the Kwinana and Mitchell Freeway. You've got the Cedric Street access, Hutton Street and Karrinyup Road access, as well as the Stirling train station not far away. So that's very accessible for a lot of people that are looking to work in the city. It's popular with people in the medical field that have to go north, south or east to the hospitals. And it's starting to come into its own and having some great growth in the suburb.
Yeah, you say that it's starting to come into its own. We should have a look at the median house price because that is indicating exactly what you're saying, some very good growth.
Absolutely. So the last 12 months, it's outperformed the Greater Perth metro market with 14% growth, with the median house price hitting 1.355 million, which is strong, but I think there's still plenty of growth because it's such a great suburb to live in.
What are you typically buying, for a median house in Stirling? What does that actually get you in terms of property size, etc.?
At that price point, you've got a couple of estates which were done in the early 2000s, which are very popular because you've got newer homes surrounded by parks and lakes and good proximity to the train station and shopping centre. So in there, that's sort of your entry point, price point. Those homes will start at around that 135 mark, which is your median, and then go right up to, there's probably homes in there that are over 3 million. In the older part of the suburb, you're going to be getting something that's on a larger block that might be one of the original homes. It was a big market garden area. So you've got a lot of homes that are sort of from the, I'd say, 70s and 80s. They might be on a 720 block or a 650 block. So you've got a good size plot of land. You've got either a 3x1 or a 4x2 home on that for that price point.
Okay, and we should have a look at the unit market, especially with the first home buyers scheme that is kicked in. This is just kind of ramping everything up in the unit market. Is that what you're finding where you are?
Absolutely. So I think since 1st of October, since that scheme came in, there's been a real urgency around first home buyers to get into that space. The average price point for a unit in Stirling is around that 750 mark. So that's a good sweet spot for those buyers. But I'm finding that I believe will increase quickly. Well, the limited opportunity in that price point, it'll drive up to that 850 mark pretty quickly, I reckon.
What about potential sellers? Are they sort of saying, right, now's probably the time to list, get us sold before Christmas? I mean, we're in November, next month, December, fast running out the year.
Absolutely. The year's flown by. Like everybody, stock is pretty limited in Stirling. There's a lot of conversations that are had around, they like the idea of the price that they can achieve, but that chicken and egg scenario of where they're going to go because of the limited buying opportunity. So it's mainly being driven by downsizers or investors that are selling at the moment because of the need or the want to capitalise. But the people that don't have to move are staying put at the moment, I'm finding. So stock levels, like everywhere, are quite tight.
So reading between the lines, it sounds like heading into the new year, there could be a number of people deciding to list their properties. So we'll wait and see how that all plays out. I do want to find out a little bit about the infrastructure on what is going on in Stirling, because there's things being built.
There's been a lot of money spent in the last few years in Stirling, which has helped that growth. I think that's given confidence to people looking to get into the area. You've got the new Rosalie Village shopping centre, which has got your Woolies and your medical facilities and coffee shops, and that's just improved the livability and the walkability of the area out of sight. The local high school catchment, which is Balcatta Senior High School, had 60 million invested in it a few years ago, which has really improved that facility. And then in addition to that, they're improving the freeway exits to help the flow of traffic through Cedric Street. So there's been a lot of money spent on the area to improve livability and accessibility, which has really made it quite popular.
Livability and accessibility. Yeah, those two are going hand in hand. We're finding out this morning all about the suburb of Stirling in Perth. Damien is with us. When we come back, we'll talk more about this area.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
And we're going to catch up with Roger Wilkins. And good morning to you, Roger. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. How much do you pay for your coffee, by the way?
I do all mine at home or at work. So I'm fortunate that we have a coffee machine here at work. So yeah, I'm pretty staggered to hear that it's $8 for a coffee. That's getting ridiculous.
Australia's tax system gives owner-occupiers a rare privilege, and this is living in their homes rent-free while avoiding taxation on that benefit. And economists are arguing that this untaxed income from imputed rent creates inequality. Maybe first off, just explain to people what imputed rent is exactly.
Yes, imputed rent is a rather abstract concept because there's no actual flow of money. But what it refers to is if you own your own home, you get housing services from that. You know, your house accommodates you. And what imputed rent is it's the value of those services. It's like if I was to rent that house instead of own it, how much would I have to pay in rent for that?
Yeah, and I can see how people might get a little bit confused with this because it is an abstract concept that you are talking about, because imputed is estimated, but it is a real benefit that people receive. And that is the premise of buying a home in the first place, is to get, as you say, those housing services that you're talking about if you live in it. And of course, as well as that, the investment from buying it in the first place.
But as I said, it is very real. So it's in our national accounts. So, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, when it produces the quarterly GDP figures and so forth, imputed rent is in there as part of our incomes. So it certainly has legitimacy. It's not something that me and my co-author Peter Szyminski have just sort of made up. It's a very, real phenomenon. And it is actually taxed in some other countries. I think Denmark's one. And in fact, in 1915 and 1916, for a little while there, even in Australia, we taxed it for a little while. Hard to believe they could do it over 100 years ago, but there you go, they did it. We were sort of saying, well, we weren't so much coming from a position of, we need to go after homeowners. It was more just, well, we know that there's, the home's an important source of economic well-being. So what if we looked at the income that people effectively get from their home
Listen to expert perspectives with exclusive real estate conversations and supercharge your knowledge base with us.
It is a Real Estate Tuesday, and we are in the suburb of Stirling talking to Damien this morning. And a couple of weeks ago, Damien, I was talking about train line tracks and how moving further out but being close to a train stop can save you big. And I gave the example of Melbourne buyers can save over $1.1 million by choosing Caulfield over nearby Melbourne, or in Sydney, buyers can save huge by crossing the Georges River with Como, offering houses nearly $750,000 cheaper than neighbouring Oatley. And a similar situation is happening. We spoke to Dan a couple of weeks ago with regard to this, because in Perth, Stirling and Warwick, they've got that difference of around $450,000 in the median sale price. So you've got some thoughts with regard to those train lines as well.
Yeah, definitely. Perth or any capital city, I think as you're closer to the city, the prices will be more expensive. I think the example of Stirling and Warwick can be a little bit skewed because Stirling has twice the amount of people in that suburb. Warwick's not an overly big suburb. So then I think what that leads to is more residential homes are being sold, which lifts the house price, whereas Warwick being smaller, around their train station, they had a lot of development and subdivision, which changed the mix of product that's available. So they've got more apartments available, more triplexes and duplexes, etc. than Stirling, I would think.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting just in terms of how much money you can save. Talking of money, it's all about selling where you are. How busy do you think you're going to be between now and the end of next month? Because Christmas is calling us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big push into the end of the year, and it's exceptionally busy. There's huge numbers through home opens, lots of buoyancy in the market. It's just trying to manage all that and follow everyone up and making sure you're doing the best thing by your clients. It's also trying to help those buyers. It's hard to see the same faces every weekend, and I definitely sympathise and feel for those buyers. And it's trying to help them and get them in a better position so that you can get them into a property and they can move forward in their journey.
And before I let you go, when Christmas arrives, give us a couple of your favourite pieces of music. It could be a solo person, it could be a band. What's your taste, do you think, at Christmas time going to be?
I've gone back to the Kings of Leon, I think it's called Only by the Night album. That's been getting a solid run of late. And then my music is heavily influenced by my kids. So my sons like a bit of Hilltop Hoods and Bliss and Esso, so that gets a strong run, and Red Hot Chili Peppers as well, I'd say.
Sounds good. I'll let you go on that note. Enjoy your music over the Christmas break next month. And thanks, Damien, for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning from Perth.
Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Stirling and get the word out there.
We dive deep into topics like buying, selling, investing, and maximising your property's value, from mortgage advice to the latest property data and trending numbers. Your real estate journey starts here.
For October, home values rose again. It coincides with continued increases in income and, of course, the expansion of the home deposit guarantee.
And one report that I did note is that many earners like nurses and teachers would end up spending 70 to 80% of their income on repayments under the scheme. And if you look at those professions, already they carry workload stresses, so we really don't need our teachers and nurses to feel more stressed out with these new mortgages.
These October Home Value Index results suggest that it might already be having some impact, with the low and middle segments of the housing market rising more quickly than the high end. And it's those low and middle segments of the housing markets that sort of fit under the price thresholds for the scheme.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.